Hi, so for my magazine edit, I've done some research on particular artists within my chosen genre. I chose alternative rock, and I took a lot into consideration when I was researching. I started looking to Enemy. I chose them because they do indie rock, and that's kind of similar as it's another subgenre. I found that in their magazines they not only focus on like new and upcoming bands, like they did an interview with Catfish and the Bottlemen, but they also did a couple of magazine covers on older artists such as Noel Gallagher, and I found that quite interesting because although indie rock's like kind of a niche genre, like arguably, they kind of still diversified in terms of their artists and bands, and that kind of meant that they're more marketable to a wider audience, which is kind of what I wanted to do. I then decided to look at all my favourite alternative rock bands and kind of see how I could take some inspiration from them when I create my own magazine. I looked at kind of like the main but quite large bands since I want to do a mainstream magazine. So I looked at bands such as like Muse, Radiohead, Kings of the Stone Age, Black Keys, Imagine Dragons, Stereophonics, the Yeah, The Strokes, Foo Fighters as well was one of them, my all-time favourite, Kasabian. I looked at some smaller artists as well, because they're important too, especially if you're doing like a magazine. So I also looked at like the Vaccines, Arcade Fire, Panic at the Disco, Kooks, Subways, Wolf Alice, Royal Blood, the Raconteurs, the Wombats, and I was like kind of looking at them. It taught me a lot about how I wanted to like dress and position my actors when I frame the images later, the front cover and the main central image. However, I kind of found that they were very similar, kind of two other bands which really stood out for me, Block Party and quite a new and upcoming band called The Peakers. I found them interesting because they kind of don't conform to the convention of most band members being like really pale white, and they're kind of more ethnically broad, so like you could still tell it's the alternative rock genre because of the Emmys on scène, like they wore leather jackets, they had sunglasses on, so you could really tell like from the image that that is alternative rock, even if you didn't know the band in particular. Kind of made me want to imitate my actors to look similar. So if I had them as my central image on the front cover, it would kind of really stand out against rival magazines such as Enemy, because they do very, very similar sorts of rock bands. And even in like more general magazines like the Rolling Stone and Q, whenever they have an alternative rock, they usually have stereotypical pale men. So I kind of found that it would help not only widen my target audience, but it'd make the magazine itself more profitable because it's less common, so kind of more people would want to buy it. Since I wanted my magazine to be mainstream, it would be owned and published by a conglomerate. I chose like this sort of institution so the company would be able to afford and host its own events. So it's just like in a lot of magazines such as Enemy, they kind of advertise Glastonbury and all these sorts of festivals, so you'd be able to do them, but also you'd allowed partnerships with larger companies which you could then put on the front cover, and you'd also like be able to interview bigger artists as the magazine itself would have a high reputation, and I'd be able to do this because they'll earn the money back from circulation. It will also allow me to publish the magazine on both the digital and print media, so it'll keep it with rival companies which have similar ideas and not kind of get left behind, because a lot of people would just prefer to buy it on like the iPad or their phones. And that's kind of like my ideas for now. Yeah.